James Watt was a Scottish inventor born in 1736. He was an instrument maker at the University of Glasgow. He was in major financial trouble throughout his lifetime until he started up a partnership with Matthew Boulton in 1775. He died a very wealthy man in 1819. He improved upon the steam engine that was originally created in 1698 by Thomas Savery. He began his work on the steam engine in 1769, but finished it in 1790. He used 1/3 of the fuel required by Newcomen's steam engine, and he allowed change of the output and speed control. He realized that Newcomen's work was wasteful, and he introduced a separate condenser, so you didn't have to cool off the cylinder. The steam engine is used for multiple kinds of tasks, both big and small. It was used for boats, and that began in 1802, and eventually by 1829 it started being used for railways. Cars and other automobiles adapted the steam engine as well, but that's no longer used today. And it dominated the industry and transport for 150 years.
So the cotton gin is a machine earlier made from wood that separated cotton fibers from its seeds. The earlier ones that were made out of wood required a lot of skill and were really difficult to use. And they first appeared in the 12th and 14th century in India and China. And these weren't known all around the world. They were mainly used in Asia, which is why we see that communication is really important, because in 1973, when Ellie Whitney made this first mechanical cotton gin, he did not know that there were wooden ones in India and China. He thought he was the first person who made it, and then he patented it as the first ever cotton gin, though they were there, like I said before, India and China for a long time. And the new one was not made out of wood. It was faster and more efficient and required less skill. So the effects of the new cotton gin was it revolutionized the cotton industry, because before it, cotton was picked out by hand, like it was removed by hand, which took really long. And the addition of these things called like teeth over here made it faster and easier to use. And it also caused a major growth in cotton production in the United States, because many more balls of cotton could be made from this machine than could be from hand. So it increased the cotton production in the United States by a lot.
The steam train, also known as the steam locomotive, was first invented in the 1800s by George Stephenson. The engine was powered by coal, wood, and oil. Yeah. The steam chain was used for delivering big freights across the country, and it was easier and faster, and people could travel across the country faster to see family and for trading with other places. It was used for, of course, passengers, and it was a lot, and also for farmers. It was easier to get their crops into the upcoming cities, and they could get it there faster, so they can have more money to buy more crops, to have more food to sell. And yeah, it was easy. It was a lot faster than the steam boats.
Okay, so the jacquard loom. So after the power loom came the jacquard loom, and this one is a mechanical loom. Though over here before it used to be controlled through weft and warp threads. So Joseph Marie Jacquard invented the jacquard loom, and it was invented in the year 1804. So there were previous models of the loom, but this is the final version. and now these days more. Okay, so this is the old one. It's controlled by a chain of cards up here. So it's basically a number of punch cards laced together into a continuous sequence. So the sequence is raising and lowering threads. And however, unlike other looms, this one is capable of producing many different weaves just from one warp, and also very complicated designs. Okay, so it was invented because it also simplified the process of manufacturing textiles with very complex patterns, and also Jacquard invented a way of automatically controlling the warp and weft threads on a silk loom. And since the loom was a technological breakthrough, it earned Jacquard a pension from the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte, and also a gold medal and the Cross of Legion of Honor. And it is considered an important step in computing.
Okay, so why was the Bergerac method invented in the first place? Back then, before the Bergerac method was invented, steel used to be extremely hard to make, was expensive, and was usually made in big batches. It was still quite useful since it was a strong and sturdy material. So people across the world decided to start researching upon a faster, more efficient method. The method of turning pig iron into steel was air was pumped with perforations of the Bergerac converter and into the pig iron. It then mixed with silicon and magnesium to create the corresponding oxides, which would then leave the converter and would be semi-fired so that no other gases would enter and would spread the purities of slag. It would then, an alloy was mixed with the slag after oxidization to create steel and was poured into molds. So, such a cheap and efficient way to create steel had huge impacts on the world. Before, a ton of steel used to cost about 40 to 60 pounds, but after that it cost 7 to 6 pounds since it was so cheap. Towns had a much easier time turning into cities since they could build skyscrapers easier and buildings were much stronger. The railroad were much easier to build and much cheaper since the steel needed to build them was more available.